What is up, my dear friends, and welcome back to the Happy Heart Academy podcast. I am your host, Tyler Joe Stratton, and today we are talking about how can you go about countering negative self-talk. Time and time again, many of us achievers, people who are wanting to do great things with our lives, whether it's something like getting over a heartbreak, maybe starting a business, perhaps running a great family, operating a great family, maybe starting a charity, or maybe it's being the best and better you that you can be. No matter what we strive to go after, we always encounter a negative self-talk, this inner voice, this internal voice that constantly keeps us in our small selves, our small-minded selves, a self that tells us that we can't, we're not good enough, we're not capable enough, we'll never be loved enough, we'll never have enough money, the world is happening to me rather than for me. It's this broke mentality and belief system that is working against us rather than for us. And today I'm going to give you the very necessary 5 steps that I take every single time this little guy in my head comes up. And I guarantee you, if you stick around to the end, you will be able to implement this successfully so that you can recontrol your internal world and ultimately your external world. But before we go in and get into that, listen, if you are currently feeling stuck and unable to move on and recreate a sense of aliveness, joy, and happiness in your life after a heartbreak, a breakup, a separation, or a divorce, be sure to check out the link in the bio. My friends, I'm giving you away a free training. Like I said, it's roughly like 25 to 30 minutes, and it's a training that's going to help you significantly understand what you need to do and what you need to focus on during this time so that you can finally move through this heartbreak, this devastating time, this struggling time, because I know you have tried many things before and you're still unsure what to do or how to overcome this. Listen, you don't need to go through this alone. Check out the free resource that you have available to you in the show notes below under the free training. You can check that out. It's the Happiness After Heartbreak training where I teach you how to reclaim your life and happiness after heartbreak. Once again, you're going to be directed in a beautiful and powerful way so that you can begin to understand what you need to focus on. What are the 3 pillars that you should begin to focus on? What I tell everyone that they need to focus on if they want to be able to get to let go and create a sense of happiness after heartbreak. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure to check out the show notes below and click on the link for there. It will take you to where you need to go to begin your healing journey. Now on to today's episode where we are talking about countering negative self-talk. My dear friends, today's a big day because we are going to be talking about how to counter the negative self-talk that oftentimes keeps us defeated and small-minded. Many times throughout my entire life, I have struggled, suffered with this little idiot inside my head that has stopped me from moving things forward, whether it be my life, my finances, my relationships, myself, my health, my responsibility, my professionality, my speaking career, my coaching career, whatever it might have been. Listen, most of the time, what stops us is not something out there, it's something in here. It's our voice inside our head that tells us that we are not good enough. So, how do we go about taking control and counteracting that so that we can finally take control of our internal world and our external world so that we can see greater amounts of success, happiness, and fulfillment in our life and relationships? Well, that's what I'm going to be talking about today. And I'm excited because this is what I'm currently helping other coaching clients through right now. It's the week of self-acceptance and how to begin to practice a greater sense of self-acceptance. Now, if you want to learn how to practice a greater sense of self-acceptance so that you can begin to love yourself deeper, then one thing that you have to understand is you have to win the war within. A lot of the times why we cannot begin to accept ourselves is because the voice inside our heads is more negative than it is positive. It doesn't allow us to, it's not loud enough. That positive voice inside our head is not loud enough. It is not trained enough to be able to help us to reclaim our sense of happiness and aliveness. I know this is easier said than done, but ultimately, a lot of the times, my friend, the reason why we can't feel positive and happy is because we're marinating in the wrong stew. meaning we're marinating in the negative more so than the positive because we've been focused on the negative a lot longer and a lot more repetitively than over the negative or over the positive. So your negative is controlling your outlook rather than your positive because you're not marinating in the positivity and the happiness within. So in this week, I've been helping all my coaching clients work through this negative self-talk so that they can begin to hear that internal voice and, more importantly, their heart that's speaking to them so that they can feel fully alive and joyful in their own skin, in their own mind, their body, and moving forward after a heartbreak. So if that's something you're interested in, I also have something for you. But nonetheless, the first thing that I need you to understand when it comes to negative self-talk ideally is this: negative self-talk has the power to influence both our mood and our behavior. So what we say to ourselves oftentimes dictates whether we stay stuck or we get unstuck. For example, if you consider the possibility of change and find yourself saying that this heartbreak is too hard for me to pursue and get over, and I'll never be able to do this, you may feel sad, helpless, and hopeless. Perhaps go on to believe that you are a failure at life, at love, at relationships, and maybe even want to give up. I was once there. I get where you're at. And our negative self-talk has a funny way of leading us to behave in a self-defeating way, thereby giving us more power to put ourselves down. It can be a vicious cycle. Consider what would have happened if you had been able to evaluate your thinking in the time of your self-beatdown. What if you had said instead, wait a minute, this may be a difficult time in my life, but it's not necessarily impossible to get over. I've been able to do things like this before. There's many things that I've overcome. And I bet if I kept at it and I got the help that I needed, the coach I needed, the therapist I needed, the friend I needed, I'll probably be able to get over it. Now, would you have felt, or behaved differently if you said those words to yourself rather than, I want to give up. This is not worth it. This is too hard. I'll never be able to do this. Of course, you would. Absolutely. What you say to yourself dictates your mood and your behavior toward a situation, a person, yourself. So ideally, I want to help you to navigate these murky waters. Like, how do you begin to quiet that inner critic within? Well, your self-talk, whether you're aware of it or not, either sabotages negatively or supports you positively. Your negative self-talk also can result in unnecessary stress, anxiety, depression, self-doubt, and a lack of self-acceptance, self-love, self-worth, self-esteem. Positive self-talk, however, encourages self-confidence, self-acceptance, effective ability to cope, achievement, and a general feeling of well-being, peace, and happiness. So ask yourself, is my self-talk building me up and helping me to accept what I seem like I can accept and believe in myself, or is it tearing me down? Is your self-talk building you up and helping you to accept what you need to accept so that you can move through it, or is it currently tearing you down and keeping you stuck? Is your way of thinking helping you, or is it hindering you? Well, nonetheless, I'm going to give you the 5 different ways in which you can begin to change your self-talk. And I like to call these the 5 C's. The 5 C's to self-talk. So the first step when it comes to this is something I do all the time. And when I say all the time, I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm human. I still struggle with that internal demon that's inside my head that tells me I'm not good enough, that I'm not capable enough, that I'll never get the reach. I'll never get the, whatever it is that I'm after, I'll never achieve it. I have an ability to quiet it down, to take control of it and to move through it so that I can continue to press forward and not give up. When chasing a big dream, when chasing a big love, when chasing a relationship, when chasing something that you don't currently have that you truly want and desire, you're going to have to equip yourself with this 5-step tool set so that you can begin to feel better, create better, love better, enjoy your life better, feel better. So the first thing that I like to say is when there's a feeling that I feel, whether it's stress, anxiety, worry, panic, my heart starts to palpitate, There's a fear that's within my head, or there's a saying within my head that I feel like I'm not good enough, smart enough, capable enough. The first step is the first C is called catch it. Catch it. This simply means that you should recognize when you're having a negative or unhelpful thought. You see, negative thoughts often come so quickly and automatically that we are oftentimes unaware of them. We start to feel bad, but we do not notice the thoughts that are causing us to feel that way. In order to counter these thoughts, we first need to become aware of them and when they are happening. You need to become aware of when these negative thoughts occur. That's what I mean by catching it. So technically, we have to catch ourselves in the act of the negative self-talk, especially when we are dealing with new situations or situations that we've dealt with before, but oftentimes trigger us. When you start to feel upset, sad, or anxious, whatever it is that you're feeling that you don't want to feel, take it as a signal. Take it as a signal to pay attention to what you are thinking or saying to yourself. So step one is just to catch it. When you start to feel bad, recognize that you're feeling bad and just catch it. Your emotions are just signals to let you know, like, hey, I must be off course in my thinking because I'm starting to feel this way. But what's causing it? So step number 2, after you catch the thought and recognize that you are feeling what you don't want to feel or how you don't want to feel, step number 2 is about controlling it. You see, when it comes to controlling it, how do you begin to control your obsessive thoughts about your ex, your future, your finances, the state of the world, the economy, the housing market, all of the things, right? The college student loans and debts, and your college that you're going through, the job that you just got let go of, whatever it is. How do you begin to stop obsessing about those thoughts that are pulling you down? Well, you have to control it. So how do you begin to control it? That's the second C. So you got to catch it, and then you got to control it is number 2. So when it comes to controlling a thought, ideally, the biggest thing, and I know this sounds simple, but you got to try it out because it's going to help you. You got to say, stop. And I scream that in my mind. Like I yell, stop. And I mean it. I'm sick and tired of feeling hopeless, helpless, and lost. Like stop. So I just yell stop in my mind. And when you find yourself thinking negatively, say stop to yourself silently in your mind to stop the downward spiral of thoughts leading to sadness, guilt, anxiety, self-doubt, hurt, unloving, unwillingness, unworthiness. So this is something that I do daily. When I hear that thought that says like, you can't, you'll never be able to, that's so far-fetched, that's so far away, that's almost impossible. Well, I just say stop. This is not serving me. Stop. And then when I say stop, it allows this little pause to take place. And that's all you need. Just a little pause. That's all. Not some extravagant meditation, not some big moment in time. It just stop for a moment. So just yell in your mind, stop. And then you have to challenge it, which is number 3. So remember, catch it, control it, challenge the thought. Challenge what you are saying to yourself using the various questions that I will, speak to you. So some questions that I oftentimes ask myself is, to challenge a thought, I ask myself, is this thought helpful? Or what is a more healthy thought? So is this thought helpful? No, it's not helpful. Well, what is a more healthy thought? So let's just take an example. Something that I think about daily is that comes into my mind is the whole message of I can't, that I'm not smart enough, capable enough, or able enough. Okay. I know that sounds rehearsed, but it kind of is, because these are things that I've told myself time and time again from probably elementary school till now. I remember in elementary school, I struggled with reading, writing, and math. And oh my gosh, I hated my tutors. My tutors were absolutely horrendous. I just hated it. I hated school. I hated school. I hated school. I hated learning. I hated math, reading, writing. I was terrible at it all. And therefore, I always felt like I can't do this. I will never be smart enough. I'll never be capable enough. I'll always have to rely on someone else for my answers. I'll always have to, cheat off of someone else or find a way to cheat through schooling if I want to get through schooling, because I didn't have the energy or the focus to be able to go into the work in and of itself to really do good in school. And so this is carried from, fourth grade to this current stage in my life. And I am still working on it, but this is something, like I said, I've been finding it helpful. So ultimately it's, once you are in the challenging it step 3 phase, you have to ask yourself questions. Is this thought helpful? No, of course it's not. What is a more healthy thought than I can? Well, simply I can. I can what? Well, I can learn this. I've learned new things before. I can learn new things again. I can because I know repetition is key to learning. The more and more I study something, the more I'll know of that something, the better off I can teach that something, and the better off I can help other people. That's an empowering thought. I like that idea. So just give yourself time and patience, Tyler. You're going to be okay. You can do this. You're capable of doing this. Another question would be, what am I saying to myself that is making me feel badly right now? Well, I'm not good enough. That's something that makes me feel bad about myself. Like, I'm not good enough. Good enough at what? Well, education. I don't know enough. I'm not smart enough. I haven't spent enough time in my studies and in my learning and in my coaching. These things are legit. I'm letting you into my internal world, but I overcome them. I overpower them. I don't let them to control me because I challenge them. Because then I ask myself, do I really want to do this to myself? Do I really want myself to feel this way? No, I don't. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel hopeful. I want to feel alive. I want to feel positive. I want to feel excited. I want to feel enthusiastic. I want to feel joyful. Why so? Why is that important to me? Because I only got one life. That's the reason. I'm not promised tomorrow. I could wake up tomorrow morning at 3:30 in the morning and end up passing away. And that sucks. So why give yourself a day of misery when you can change it? Why put yourself through these thoughts and allow them to control you and ruin your day when you're not promised tomorrow? Are you seeing where I'm coming from? So I ask myself, do I really want to do this to myself? If so, why? If I really want to make myself feel bad, I ask myself why. Well, because I would rather be right than to forgive. I'd rather be right than to love. I would rather be right than to be wrong. And if not, if I don't want to feel bad, I say why. Well, the reason I just told you why. I only have an X amount of time here on earth, and I don't want it to be miserable. I don't want my last day to be a miserable day. I don't want to go out in pain. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I want to go out in love and happiness and peace. Okay. So another question you could ask yourself is, what would I tell a friend in this situation? Perhaps follow that advice. If your friend came up to you and said, listen, I just don't feel like anybody loves me. Like I'll never be loved. What would you say? You would say, absolutely wrong. I love you. You're wrong. You're absolutely loved. Your dog loves you. Your cat loves you. Your hamster loves you. Your mom loves you. I love you. Come here. You need a hug. What do you need? You need some ice cream. Let's go out and have some fun. Right? It's these things, friends. Like, come on now. You can do this. So challenge it. Okay. That's step number 3. I think you understand. Just ask empowering questions. Step number 4, after you ask the empowering questions, is you have to change it. Changing it is so important. This is where most people get stuck because they never change it, meaning that they allow themselves to dwell in the negative. I can't, I am unable, I am unwilling, I am whatever disempowering thought that you're holding. I am unlovable. I am not enough. See, what happens is if you do get to the point of challenging it and you realize that you don't want to feel this way, now it's time to change it. Change the negative message you're saying to yourself to a more realistic, positive one in order to bring about a more pleasant and helpful emotion. Time and time again, many people get stuck here. They don't exchange the negative for the positive. So they don't extract the negative by challenging it, and then they don't change it with a positive. They don't allow something new to enter, something uplifting, for one of 2 reasons. Number 1, they don't have anything at their fingertips that they can think of during that time of emotional high of negativity. Meaning when you feel terrible, you'll listen to terrible music, you'll listen to sad music, you'll cry, you'll bawl, you'll drink, you'll do whatever. And you have all of that negative equipment that, you'll escape. But ideally, what I need you to understand is that you have a powerful tool in your hand, and I'm looking at it right now. It's called your phone. Okay, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm doing this from my phone. So ideally, you have this thing called your cell phone, and in your cell phone, you have this thing called photos. And when you go in your photos folder, check it out. One of the greatest things that you can do is you call it a happiness folder. Brilliant idea, Tyler. Great job. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, your happiness folder is a folder that's going to equip you to change your negative into a positive, because it's a folder full of happiness, of happy videos, happy photos. It takes you to a time and place and space that allows you to recreate those and reconnect to those happy times. So go in your phone this week, and maybe even after this podcast episode, and I challenge you to create a happiness folder. And this happiness folder is designed for you to turn to every time you feel down. It's a beautiful thing. If you want to go a step further, I would even go on Spotify and create a happiness playlist of your favorite happy, uplifting music, not your emotional, tune into your emotion kind of music. It's your happy, vibrant, positive music that uplifts you, that makes you feel powerful and strong and happier. And you're going to listen to the music while you look through the videos and you look through the photos in that happiness folder. And that's going to help you to replace the negative with the positive. It's going to help you to take your focus off the negative and put it onto something positive. Are you following me? Is this good stuff? I hope this is helping you. If it is, be sure to let me know. Screenshot this, that you're listening to the Happy Heart Academy podcast on your phone, and then tag me on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are at, just to let me know. Because listen, sometimes it could be like you're talking to a brick wall when you're podcasting. Podcasting is fun. I love it. I enjoy the spoken word. However, sometimes it can get daunting, because although I know that there's well over 4,000 beautiful souls on this podcast, I know that sometimes it's hard because I don't get to connect with you. I don't get to hear from you. I don't get to see you. I don't get to be with you. And that makes it challenging. So I care about you. And I just hope that this is helpful. So let me repeat 1 through 4, because these are the most important. You got to catch it. Okay. You got to control it. Number 2. Number 3 is you got to challenge it by asking questions. Number 4 is you got to change the negative into a positive. And number 5, you got to cherish it. When you allow yourself to dive into the emotional positivity within yourself, you've got to allow yourself to cherish it. And I mean, marinate in it. You know what I mean? Like, do you ever have a good steak, maybe a good chicken, or Thanksgiving's coming up here in the United States? We have turkey cookies too. Yeah, sure. Anyway, we have a turkey. Sometimes people marinate it, the turkey, to allow it to really season. Actually, fun fact, this is the first year that I'm going to be cooking a turkey, and we'll see how it goes. Wish me luck nonetheless. What you've got to do in order for the turkey to turn out good is you got to marinate it in good things, right? So same thing with your positive emotion. If you want to become more positive, uplifting, helpful, encouraging, supportive, loving, caring, happy, engaged, enthusiastic, joyful, confident, whatever you want to feel more of, you've got to allow yourself to feel it and then cherish it, aka marinate in it. This means that enjoy the moment that you're feeling, of the feeling that you just created that was more positive. A lot of the times, hear me out, I'm going to slow down a little bit. A lot of the times, the reason why many of us cannot feel happy day in and day out is because we don't allow ourselves to marinate it in long enough, consistent enough to actually feel happy on a day-to-day basis. So ultimately, if I were to challenge you, I would tell you to go ahead and walk through the 5 C's. And when you finally attach yourself to a positive emotion, I challenge you to marinate in it and allow yourself to bathe in it and allow yourself to really cherish it and enjoy it, because that's when you're going to notice a difference. Like, for example, let me take you through another quick example. A lot of times when I ask people, what are they grateful for? They list off my family and my friends, like my family and my health and my friends. Those are the 3 biggest things that I always hear is I'm grateful for my health, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for my friends. Okay, beautiful. But you didn't feel it. Just because you know it doesn't mean you felt it. How do you actually feel when you, like, there's an emotion that you can dive into that can unlock the feeling of gratitude? It's called marinating. It's called cherishing. It's called allowing yourself to bathe in it. So don't just say it, bathe in it, cherish it, right? So anyway, my friends, these are the 5 C's that I hope to have helped you when you are going through that negative self-talk. This is how you would counter the negative self-talk. Number one, you got to catch it. You got to recognize that it's even going on. Number two, you got to control it by yelling stop in your mind, allowing that pause to break the thought. And then you got to challenge it by asking yourself questions. And then number four is you got to change it. Once you challenge it and you realize that that's not how you want to feel, you got to change it by focusing on the positive and rather than the negative. And then once you're focusing on the positive, allow yourself to cherish it, aka marinate in it, aka bathe in it. That's the 5 steps to my secret to helping me overcome the negative, the negative chirp, the negative chatter, the negative tick, the talk of the tick, the thing inside my head that just doesn't want to shut up at times. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, my name is Tyler. I hope you found this podcast helpful, supportive, encouraging, and or uplifting. And if you did, my friend, listen, if you stayed around this long, please do me a favor and leave a review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to Spotify. I don't care. It would be a great pleasure to hear from you, to listen to you, to hear what you need. And just leave a 5-star review and say something nice. Hey, he's helpful. Hey, he's encouraging. Hey, he's supportive and or uplifting. You need to listen to him. Whatever you want to say, whatever's on your heart, just give today. Go out there and give. Why so? Because like I said before, I don't want you to understand, I want you to understand why I'm asking you to leave a review. It's because it's going to help the podcast reach higher rankings, to reach more people. And the more people we reach, the more people we heal. And the more people we heal, the better world we're going to be able to live in. Listen, it's just one person at a time that can make a change. If we just focused on one person, we're going to make a big difference in this world. Listen, my name is Tyler. I hope you've enjoyed the Happy Heart Academy podcast, and I will see you soon.